Welcome to your example 2 of our demo setup. This is an example of a build your own custom box checkout. Also, I'm going to show you that it all happens on one page. Even though we have separated the actual choosing your order items from the checkout, you'll see that using the power of Elementor, you can have an experience that to a user on a mobile or desktop appears to have the ability to move from each step, even though it's on the same page. Let me show you how this works. The basic concept is that somebody can pick from one of 3 box sizes. Here you're giving them the choice of a paid product that's either 2 of their choice for $10, 4 of their choice for $18, or 6 for $20. When they click on the box size, it puts it immediately into their order review so they see what they're paying. You can also explain to them the cost for shipping, taxes, or other items using the standard WooCommerce components. All of these items can be either shown or hidden or moved elsewhere in the layout using launch flows. I've also included our empty cart button so that somebody can easily remove as many items as possible with one button press, in addition to using the normal click to remove. Now let's say we choose the 4 for 18. Next is we've given them a custom product using our new LaunchFlows feature called Hide Your Price for any of the 6 items. Here they can choose maybe 4 of the same or 4 different items to fill the basket up. You'll notice that when we add something like the juicy grapes, that using the Hide Your Price, the product is there, but it just has the translatable word of included. You can make that say anything you want, or you can hide it entirely. The idea is that it doesn't change the overall price of the basket because it's just an item being added. Let's add a couple other items. Let's add the bananas, the apricots, and the oranges. Now, we've also shown you in other videos how you can allow somebody to individually remove items. Let's say instead of the oranges, which I'll remove, I want to add 2 of the bananas. No problem at all. The cart dynamically updates and they're ready to go. Now in this layout, as promised, we're really using one page for the layout, but I'm using the ability of Elementor to show the top panel in full screen, no matter which browser they're using. When I click the Ready to Check Out button, this takes me to the next panel where I can then check out and pay. Here I'm using a couple components from LaunchFlows that were specifically laid out. I have the billing separated from the shipping, but I've put them on the left side together. I'm allowing the person to use any type of payment that they want. And as I've mentioned in the other videos, you can choose to have a particular payment gateway for any of the products you sell. So you might be able to just limit them here to not using PayPal or only using credit card. If they change their mind, they can click here to go back up to the top panel and come back down again. Now, I've also included the ability to add a coupon, which is the standard toggle from WooCommerce, and you can place this anywhere you want, but in this layout, I figured it looks really nice here. You can't see it, but I've also included the login information, the notices, and the other information that would have to do with telling somebody there's something wrong here in the bottom section, and I'll show you that in the layout. When they're ready to place the order, they click, and then they will be taken to wherever you want them to go based upon how you set up the product. Let's look at the backside on what I did to set this up. The products themselves are really simple. I have 2 types of products. I have one product that represents the fruit basket, and these are individually set up so that they've got individual ID numbers, 751, 688, 684. Let's look at any one of these because they're pretty much set up the same way. Here I've added a feature image, and of course, I've made these simple products. You'll notice that it's not virtual because I am going to actually ship it, and I want the shipping information available from what person types into their shipping fields. Next, I've set the price for each one of these. This particular one was $10. In the Launch Flows tab, this is where I add the DNA of where I want things to go. Right now, I've set it up that the checkout page is my example 2 layout, which is I'm going to show you in a second. If I want, I can also choose a custom thank you page where people will be sent after checking out. Or, like in this case, I can say nothing and it will instead default to whatever I've configured in advance in WooCommerce as my fallback. And here in WooCommerce settings, that's where I can set up a default fallback under the General tab. I can choose a thank you page to be the one that works for all of the checkouts, or in the case that I don't specify one. Next is I've gone ahead and made none of the normal add-ons here with solo checkout or anything, except, as you'll see in a second, our new feature, Hide the Free Price. This is what will hide in the subtotal the dollar amount of a free product. Here, this is a paid product, so I'm not going to use it, but you'll see in a second how I'll use this for each of the individual fruit items. Finally, I made use of the fact that I'm adding product categories to help organize these so that I can very easily see them when I want to make out my layouts. So I update it and I'm good to go. Now let's look at the other type of product, the fruit product. The fruit products themselves are just simple products where I've done everything the same as I've shown you, except the price of the product is 0. So when I go to Launch Flows, well, let's see here in general, price is 0. When I go to Launch Flows, you'll also notice that I've got the same checkout page, but as promised, you've got the hide the free price checked. This is what hides the subtotal so that it doesn't have the sort of $0.00. It doesn't matter in this case whether you call these virtual or not, but I've just shown you that if you check it, it won't have any effect. If I uncheck it, the results will be the same. All that we needed is at least one product in the checkout to be non-virtual in order for the billing fields to show up. Now, finally, let's look at the layout itself and go over what else we've done here. So we go into the templates area. And in this case, because it's only one layout, I only need one layout, unlike the 2 parts that we did in the previous example. So let's look at this with Elementor. And these are all done with the free Elementor. There's nothing using Pro here. You'll notice if I scroll down that I've got the top section here, and it takes up the whole space. And that's easily done by clicking on the middle select section and then going to Layout. And when you look to the height, you can change that to be fit to screen. I've also aligned the columns to the top so everything moves up to the top, but I've said align the columns themselves in the middle so that they're all centered even if they don't fill the whole space up. And that's what gives us this nice layout that kind of fills no matter which screen you're using. Second of all, I've gone ahead and I've put in a row of buttons much like I did before. And these are simple to do because all I need is for each button to go grab the link that's included with each product. So if we go back over here to the product for the boxes, let's say Fruit Basket 2, in the upper right corner of every product, we have our LaunchFlows direct checkout link. I simply copied that and I went ahead and I used that as the link for each of these individual top baskets. That's what sends this product to this checkout, including the price and whatnot. I did the same thing for each of the fruit buttons. The only difference is that because these are just images instead of buttons, I put the link at the bottom. Now, once that's done, I went ahead and I used the LaunchFlows component of Review Your Order to put inside of this little column these 2 items. Here is first the Fields Review. That's what shows what's in your cart without all the complications of the normal WooCommerce cart. Then I added another component, which is the Empty Cart component. That's what gives you that nice ability to press the button and dump everything at once. Next, I added a standard button here, and this was just with what we can use as our smooth scroll. What I did is I made the second section here, and when I clicked on it, I went to its advanced area and I gave it the ID of payment. This is the payment section. This one I called the top section. So what happens is with this button, all I need to do is say, when I click on it, I would like the link to be #payment. And that tells this button to scroll us down to this section. I had included these other components, which we've talked about. I've got the login component, which is the LaunchFlows login component. And by the way, if you didn't see your video 1, any LaunchFlows component is as simple as just saying LaunchFlows, dragging it in place, and choosing which component you want. So in this case, I had login, I've got the notices, I've got the billing, and you can see over here what's happening. I've got the shipping, I've got the coupon code, and I've got the payment. I've also made a link out of a regular text headline, which does that same thing I just described. #top means this will scroll somebody to the top. Finally, I added in here just a simple placeholder image to represent the fruit basket. At the bottom, I've got the LaunchFlow Style Manager. Now, even though I'm not using this, this gives you the ability to dictate the style of all the components in this layout in one simple place. So you don't have to use the customizer, you don't have to use CSS, you can simply dictate what things look like and feel like in this layout, including the buttons, the fields, the typography, and more. Best of all, you can save this as a global widget if you have Elementor Pro, or just save it as a template item if you're in Element or Standard, so you can use it again and again in other layouts. And that's all there is to it. This gives you a really elegant way to play with the various features for a one-page, two-part checkout that has some really cool dynamic features that you can extend to a ton of businesses. I hope to see you on the next video for example 3. See you then.